All right, I just wanted to go over a couple of changes for the interface, mostly within our current version of Dreamweaver and the addition that's shown in the tutorial that Professor Marr wrote for us. Adobe is going to do this a lot, just as a preface, and what you'll want to do is just know that the essentials are always going to be there. Typically what they change is just what I like to call the bells and whistles. So the UI is going to be a little different, the UI UX, colors, etc. It's very infrequently. It's not often different. So just know that it's always going to be basically the same. It's just going to have a couple little bit of shifts. It functions when you open it very similarly to Illustrator in style. I'm saying Illustrator, Photoshop, and InDesign, the setup. So that's the really nice thing with the Creative Cloud is they've made everything really nice and uniform. So our panels on our right are akin to the palettes in the other programs, the front ones for print. If something is not here, it's exactly the same troubleshooting in the other programs, then it's probably under the window. Where it is under the window. So everything for panels is going to be over here. So if you can't find it or if it's not out, it's going to be over there. All of them have built-in search bars. So if you were trying to find the insert, it will hover over it. And if you're looking specifically for the one that's under your panels, then you'll know which one to go. Or if you wanted to insert rows, columns, etc., whatever you search for is going to give you a bubble highlight, so you're going to be able to find it. So if the Google can't find it, chances are the built-in Dreamweaver help menu will be able to. So your panels are going to be on your right, just like you're used to. Your properties may not be up yet. That we're going to actually get to in a second, because properties is going to be, well, let's just go ahead. Properties is under here also, but it's going to be, voided of info if you haven't opened anything yet. So if you have no files that have ever been opened and you don't have anything open on the page in general, it's not going to show anything up there. It might just be a gray bar. Once you start putting info in, you're going to see, the bits and pieces of that pop in. You will be able to create, of course, a new page. And unfortunately, in Dreamweaver, it's not quite so simple as that. I am going to show you how to set it up. But you can see we have all sorts of document types. So you choose the one you want. There are some templates for later down the line. So you can go from there. I am not going to build my page for this demo this way. I am going to hit cancel. All right. In order to set it up, you're going to want to go to Site, Manage Sites, and this is going to house all the sites that you've been working on. There could be a really long list here. I actually just cleaned mine up, so it's kind of controlled. I am going to, you have options. If it was one that was already built, you can go ahead and import, but I want to make a new one. I'm just going to call it Test, and it's going to default for this one under my documents. If you didn't have something set up, fine, okay. But what I actually did was I went ahead and I made on my desktop, which is Control D or Apple D if you're on a Mac, I made a test site folder that already is going to have image, etc. in it. So I'm going to click on that main folder and I'm going to hit choose. So you can see the local site folder is going to be that. This is really important because this is where everything is going to be linked. So if your photos aren't in there, it's not going to show up. If your index or your CSS isn't in there, it's not going to show up. So file management is paramount when it comes to web design. And I'm just going to say, okay, everything's hunky-dory with that one. I'm going to hit done, and you're going to see it shows up over here, and you can see it says test files when I hover, and the images folder is there, and I have a cat photo in there because, surprise, surprise, I always show cats for my demos. So all your info is going to be there, and you're like, okay, but I don't actually have that file. Now that's when you go in and go ahead and create that new document. I am going to say for one of the current updates, and I know it said XHTML in there, for purposes of the demo, you can use that, or as well HTML. Your book is going to tell you exactly what to use. For the tutorial, I'm not going to be fussy. As long as it's XHTML or HTML5, I am A-okay with that. Going to go ahead and hit OK. And I'm going to save it as my index, and it's going to be going into my test site. I'm going to go ahead and hit save. There it is. There's our index. If I wanted to create my CSS file, you guessed it, and go ahead and create that CSS file. Styles. And there it is. It's showing up under here. If you close it, you can double click over here. Oops. And it's going to open. If you double click on the name, you can change the names. Be careful with that also, because you want to keep everything the same so it all stays linked. But you can navigate it. In case you close it, it's A-okay. In the early stages, if you want, I recommend, just exploring if you like the code version only, the live, the split, and under live, you can see there's also the design version of it. I think in the earlier stages, the split's actually the easiest to get comfortable with. So bounce between them, and sort of see which one you like. All right, so it does pre-generate all of the info that we have been hand coding. If we wanted, of course, to change our title, super awesome website, with a lot of exclamations because we're really excited about this website. We change it there. The good thing about learning how to hand code first is when you've already had a couple weeks of getting comfortable with that, so that when you come in here, you're not, starting from zero. You already have your background, and now you know what all of this stands for. Gonna go ahead and put some extra spaces in between the body. The questions that I was getting was mostly with the images and tables. So just like the other programs, there are, of course, a couple different ways to do it. Hand code it in. You already know how to do that. Insert your photo or table that way. You can, if your insert panel is up, you can see it here. You can add divs, image, paragraphs, headings, tables, figures, unordered list, ordered list, list item, hyperlink. Oh my goodness, there's so many of them. So we do have those options there. There's also an insert main menu. You guessed it, it's all up there also. So hand code, you can use the main menu or you can use the panel. So if I wanted to put an image in, I could click image, get my cat. Oh, it's so cute. Or I'm going to hit my delete on the main keyboard. I could go up here, make sure it's in the body. Oops, don't put a break in it. I mean, unless you want to. Image, insert, put the cat in that way, and you can hand code it also. So you have plenty of options here. I'm just going to go ahead. And if you wanted that table, I'm going to leave it default because I know someone was asking a question about the tables and how it shows up here. Under properties, I'm just going to hit OK. Once the table's in there, you're going to be able to see its properties. So let's just go ahead and click on all of the table. There's all that info. Same dealio with the cat. It shows our source. If we wanted to hyperlink it, we could. Our alt text, our title, our ID, etc. All of that info is going to be under properties, whether it be the table, whether it be the div, heading, etc. Our headings, I'm going to undo my tables. What we can see under headings is there is all the headings that you were already hand coding. So if you wanted them, they're all under there also. I'll just actually heading. Great. This is the content for the H1 layout tag. And when you look, there it is. There is all of our info under our properties. So I think the properties was giving people some problems. All you have to do is make sure, one, that, okay, let's click on the cat, that you're actually selected it so you can see what the actual properties are. And if it's not there, go under your window and properties. The rest of the tutorial should be cut and dry from there on out. Just keep in mind, it's just whenever they update, and Adobe does update quite frequently now. Whenever they update, just know it's mostly just a stylistic tweak for the UI UX. Everything is going to be there. And whenever it's over here, it's just like Illustrator and InDesign, it's going to be under your window. But it's going to be a lot easier. Already having the groundwork, knowing some hand coding, this part will make a lot more sense. It's just basically acquainting yourself with a new interface. All right, hope this helps. Have a good night.